One of the main reasons Excel is used is to create data lists. Excel gives you the freedom to make these lists and format them any way you want, but there are some rules that can be real lifesavers. So, despite that you can do whatever you want when creating a list, it is not a good idea to use this freedom because you will fall into problems in the future. In this lesson, I will talk about the good practices you should follow when creating a list in Excel. As I said, what I will show in this lesson is not mandatory in the sense that in Excel you can do whatever you want. But if you don't follow these rules, then when you try to get information from your data, you will face serious problems. For example, let's say I want to create a list of my customers' phone numbers and addresses. That seems pretty easy. The first thing to do is to use the top line of the area I want as a headers line. Each column will contain a piece of data and I want a name for this piece of data. That name is called the header. Most likely the first thing I would like to do in this case is to enter the customer's name. So in cell A1 I will type first name and this will be the header of the first column. I will press the right arrow to go to the next column and I will type last name here. And I will press enter to complete the entry. This will be the header of the second column. With this logic, I can fill in headers for as many columns as I need. So the first good practice is to use the top line of the data area to type there the name of each column. This name is called the header. Now I want you to notice that I used a different column for the first name and a different column for the last name. A common mistake would be the following. I'm going to click on cell C1 and I'm going to type here full name as the header and press enter. So why would it be a mistake to have a column that includes both the name and the surname in one list instead of having them in separate ones? It would be a mistake because I would have two different pieces of data in one cell. This is a very important rule when creating lists of data to keep in mind. Each column must contain only one piece of data. So one column for the first name and another column for the last name, not both in the same cell. It is possible that you can't see the importance of this rule right now, but just take my word and when the time comes, you will remember it. For example, let's assume I have collected all my customers' names and surnames in a worksheet called names here. This is the wrong way to do it because I used one column both for the name and the surname. Let's suppose now that I want to sort the list according to the surname of the customers. Since I have entered first the name and after the surname, this is not possible. If I had entered the data the other way around, I mean first the surname and then the name, then it would be impossible to sort according to the name. This is just the tip of the iceberg of problems you will face if you don't follow these rules. So one piece of data in each cell. Never forget that. I will go back to the customer's worksheet and I will click on cell C1 and delete the full name header by pressing delete on the keyboard. And I will continue with the rest of the data. Let's say I now want to list the phone numbers that each customer can have. I'm going to type landline number as a header here. And I will press the right arrow to move to cell D1 where I'm going to type mobile number. And I will press enter here to complete the entry. Notice that I followed the same practice. I didn't use one column to enter all the different kinds of phones, but instead I used a different column for each phone type. If I had not used that rule, that would lead me to forget which number is for the landline and which is for the mobile, as you can see in this incorrect data entry that I have done in this worksheet. In this example, both phone numbers for each customer are in one cell. So if I want, for example, to extract a list of the mobile phone numbers so that I can send an SMS, for example, to those numbers, it would be impossible. So the correct way to do it is by using the one column for the landline and a different one for the mobile number. Okay, let me now select the columns of this list. and some more maybe, and I will increase the width so that the headers I have written look better. You will learn how you can set the width of columns in detail in the following lesson, so don't worry about how I did this. Okay, let's move on. I also want to let's say now that I also want to record each customer's address. Here is how I'm going to do it. I will click on cell E1 and I will type the header street. Now I will press the right arrow, and in cell F1 I will type number. I will press the right arrow again, and in cell G1 I will type city. I will press again the right arrow, and in cell H1 I will type postal code. And I will press the right arrow again, and I could continue with whatever data I might want. So notice that in order to follow this very important rule, I have to do such a deep analysis for the address. Remember, one piece of data in each column. I place the street name alone, not the street name and the street name, the street number together. The city name in its own column, the postal code in its own column, the zip code in its own column, the first name in its own column, and the last name in its own column. The columns you will need in a list depend on what you want to create, how much depth you want. For example, here I might want to add the date of birth or height or even other details. Depending on my needs, I will create the list and the rest of the headers, and I will create separate columns for each data element. Once again, remember that it is very important not to make the mistake of using columns that contain two or more pieces of data together. It's possible that this all seems redundant to you and more difficult than just putting all the data in a column and moving on. However, it is a very, very important rule to keep in mind when creating data lists, and creating that data list is something you will do all the time in Excel. So make sure that you use your headers in a way that each piece of data has its own separate column. I'd like to refer to one last little thing that I mentioned in the previous lesson, and doesn't have to do much with the data lists themselves. This is the undo tools found in the Quick Access toolbar. So I will click on the undo button, and as you can see, the header in cell H1, which was the last thing I entered, has been deleted. I will click the undo button one more time, and the header in cell G1, which was the previous to the last thing I entered, was deleted. Using the undo button, I can go back to the state I was before the last action I did. There is one more button that gives me the ability to go do the opposite. I can undo the undo I did from the button here called the redo button. I will click on the redo button, and with that I undid the last undo I did. Okay, this is a bit weird. I'm sure you understand what I'm saying. That is the undo of typing of the typing I had done in cell G1. Undoing and redoing is like let's think that it's going undoing goes back in time and all the actions you have done, and redoing is like going forward in time to where you are right now. So you can think the two buttons that way too. So that's all for this lesson. Thank you for watching.